Welcome to the Day Trader and Swing Trader Setups watch list, where we look at stocks that broke out on our intraday alerts at the premium alerts at swingtradersetups.com. Intraday alerts create great day trading opportunities as well as carry forward for future days tradings on these breakout stocks. What we do is we review the live alerts that came out intraday on our website for our premium alert subscription holders. We'll keep up with 475 stocks there, and for the breakouts and the breakdowns, they're time stamped with the price, time of the alert, and the time of the post. And also sometimes, like UPS shown here, actually has been on the bull zone for about $7 from several days ago. And this morning it gapped down, and so when it came through the current bull zone breakout, it gave another great alert for an intraday trade setup. So we're reviewing those alerts from our watch list of 475 stocks, as well as scanning for 5 through 5,000 stocks at the end of the day for other alerts similar that came out on different stocks off of our watch list. By subscribing to our service, you're available to see these alerts as they come out early in the mornings or throughout the day. That gives you time to come in and review, see which stocks you might be interested in setting up a swing trade on. We even have these on a weekly alert, and weeklies are really for the long-term swing traders, a better setup on a weekly alert. And for multi-day trade swing traders, these daily breakouts. You also have time to go select some options if you're an option trader before the close of business, since the video comes out after hours. Now we're going to take a quick look at the watch list for the stocks that triggered today, then a quick 3-minute tutorial on support and resistance levels that are on our charts for the new viewers, and then we'll get right into the complete list, and we will go through chart by chart and give you a 10-second view of each chart so you can see what might or might not be at support and resistance levels on these alerts. Thanks for watching our video. Subscribe to our channel while you're here. The rally continues. We got a lot of new stocks that showed up today. I'm showing you the weekly recap that we show every night at the end of the videos, showing you the stocks that came up yesterday, day before, 3 days ago, and 4 days ago on this exact scan and the exact level that they came up. The reason I'm showing you this is with our weekend chart talk video tomorrow, we're going to dive into how you use this information going forward in your trade, or as you're still evaluating whether to get in a trade or not, or if you're in one, you're trying to decide if you need to close your trade out. So we're going to talk details about these columns. I've talked to you a little bit about this yellow one. Indicates that even on these little inside days for UPS, it stayed in the bull zone and kept the check marks, and even if the bull zone pulls back, you can still maintain what I call my power level of the trend. And if I can keep this line up, which is your yellow here, I've got more price action upward indicated. And just when we're looking at these charts, I hadn't mentioned this before, the other lines indicate a higher strength of that power, but I'm only showing on here the minimum is still intact. Now I've added something to the chart that I already have on my chart. I just opened it up to start showing this little green dotted line, which becomes a solid line as the trade progresses. The first day of the bull zone, you notice this solid line's not here because it was breaking out. But every day since that on UPS, it's kept this lower green line solid across here. I call that my trend stability. So I'm adding that in for you. It's looking at the low of days every day and I have a formula I used that if I can keep that low a day not getting very low, then my trend stability is still super strong. So I'm adding that into your daily recap so you'll be able to see that that is maintained even if you fall off this list like on AGN. My trend stability is back intact again today, and we've kept the power. It came up a few days ago, and this had some red in and out days on AGN. This stock's still building momentum. It came in on the bull zone, fell back a little bit the next day, still maintained the yellow line, and broke back through the recalculated bull zone again yesterday, and it's maintained that status back into that level. Now today it's pulled back again, so at the end of the day still not in the bull zone, but the lows of these candles have now taken this into my trend stability. Even though this had a red day, the low was the first day that it didn't pull back enough to say that this is still just a dotted line. It's now this is the first day it came in of all these days. So this is strengthening in the lows of it's still making higher lows and higher highs, so the strength's still intact. So just giving you a few more tools to work with here, and we're going to get in a lot more detail on those tomorrow in the weekend chart talk of how to take this and use it to your advantage. And of course we'll have the same thing on the bears. Alright, this is where we give you a quick look at the watch list right here at the beginning of the video. We had 32 stocks, broke out on the bull zone again today, the levels they broke out, and how far they ended up at the end of the day in reference to this price, like Amgen up 308 today, $1.68 after it broke back into the bull zone. This is the entire week that just passed. It grew every day, and we're going to pull this down where you can get the look at the bottom stocks on this list, or you can pause the video and you've got the look there and all the values right there for you to refer to. As always, we'll pause here, come in with a 3-minute tutorial about my support and resistance lines that you see on the charts as we toggle through them for the new viewers to understand what's going on with that, and then we'll get forward reviewing these charts. Don't forget, tune in over the week, look for the weekend chart talk. We're going to cover what I was just telling you about, of how to utilize the information I'm giving you to move through your trades. I've been day trading for years, and when I'm working with a strong stock intraday, I may be using a 30-minute chart or even an hourly chart, 15-minute chart to keep myself in the trade. And these are the same items that I use to know if my trend's still in, my intraday trend's still intact. And they work on the dailies. All candles work the same. So stay tuned. Learn how to utilize this to your advantage going forward. This is a mini tutorial on what the lines mean on my charts if you're a first-time viewer or been a while since you viewed. We're scanning on weekly and daily charts for my condition. When this green line is up, it's my bull zone, and when the red line is up, it's my bear zone. You need to be aware of support and resistance lines and what charts do at levels, and that's what these levels are for. Just quickly as I can do this, and we're going to put a video on YouTube getting more from your swing trading charts that'll be more detailed and look at more stocks, how they react to these lines. But the gist of what you see here is this is what I'm scanning for. And as you can see here, this showed up in the bear zone. It did go down for a few days, but these green lines are support. And that's why it fought for a few days, tried to bounce back up, headed back down again, came right back into the bull zone, a bear zone, excuse me, and continued on down. Now the lines, here's what they represent. A green line is a place that a stock went up to and rejected. So as this green line redrew itself every time we made highs right here, and then it stayed across here for reference points, continues the same line here for reference points. Resistance, when you get above it, becomes support. This green line was drawn way back in the history, and when this stock broke above this resistance level, when it came back down, it held it, it held it, it held it, it tested it and held it again and again. That was support. That's why I want you to be aware of what these lines mean, and you'll see them on my charts. And then the activity that stocks do, sometimes they go, that's my first target, that's my second target. Many times stocks go target 1, pull back a little, target 2, then they may pull all the way back to 1 and go again if they're continuing an uptrend. In this case, it did the pull back. This blue line is a 50-period moving average. This orange line is a 200. So that's what I want you to be aware of as well. And then I have a pivot system that consists of this blue line at the top, yellow line at the bottom, and my target 1 and target 2. You'll see this particular day this stock gapped down, huge gap down, open way down here. The low on this stock was 169.68. I'm getting that right out of this box over here. And the value of that yellow line was 169.67. Within 1 cent, it held that line and bounced that day for a huge bounce. It's not a support level, but it's where I look for stocks to try to hold. It's where I look, if I'm short, say from here, this is where I'm looking to get out. I'm looking to move 2 levels, target 1, target 2, going up, target 1, target 2. The pink lines all represent places the stock has gone down to and bounced. This pink line is referencing this last pivot low. So as you're selling down into it, it may bounce again. If you get below it, then it becomes resistance. And that's all these lines mean. I just want you to know what they mean going forward. Thanks for watching the video. Let's get started. We're going to get started with the weekly, and remember, they're the best ones to set up your long-term swing trades on. This American Tower AMT, it has came down to my target 1, and this is the level, remember, that's marked for you on the chart, exactly where this triggered. It'll be there on the daily or the weekly. This triggered at 135.70. It's in your list here. That was the level that it triggered at into the weekly bear zone. Now that's 270 down so far since then. It's only down $1.97 today in this column, so that means this triggered yesterday at 135.70, which was right in this area, right where you can see where it is now by the red line there. I want you to see where this triggered on the daily bear zone. On the daily bear zone, this triggered at 139.16. So now it's had 3 down days. 139.16 is where this triggered on the daily bear zone 3 days ago. The stock is down about over $6. You are at your 50-week moving average. As we toggle down, these will stay highlighted for you. There's your level. Again, here's one as it came down through that level here. Messed up my list there. This was actually 3 days ago that it crossed down. And this green line, which was an old high, is one of the reasons we show you the charts. CPT, this stock's been down since 89.08, which was in this, you see where it was, but that was actually 4 days ago, down 431 so far. It hit the bear zone alert right up here at 89.87, and that was last week. Still continues down. DLR lost a 50 week this week and came down through some support lines on our daily charts. It actually moved into the daily bear zone about 109.83, which was below the weekly. It already went into the weekly bear zone probably the same day, a little bit earlier in the day. Yeah, same day, just earlier in the day when it triggered here at 111.38. So you've got 3 down days now on DLR. First triggered right here off this weekly alert, live on our website. $5.60 down so far. The first day, by the end of the day, this is where the stock was here. So it had already moved down to 109.60 from the 111.38 area. And that's just a good example of how you can take these live intraday on our website and get yourself into a trade before the end of the day. If you just enter this trade 35 cents before the close on 200 shares, then you've made $69 or $70 by the end of the day. That pays for an entire monthly subscription. So $69 a month, you get these live intraday. Now, we don't scan the entire market on our intraday alerts. What I'm doing for you after hours is a full 5,000 stocks. I go back to $3 stocks all the way up to $400 stocks on this scan, but I want to keep them with some minimum 20-day moving averages. So some stock that all of a sudden had 4 million shares today and normally trades 62,000 is not going to be on the scans. So I'm trying to keep the crazy stuff out and keep your stuff that's you're able to read a chart by price movement. PSA down 881 from where it broke. It broke early in the week. You can see where it broke all the way up here to 202 area, and that was 3 days ago. It actually had entered into the bear zone last week on the daily right about here at 205. So last week at 205 this came into the daily bear zone. That happened on the 4th, and this stock you can see is down over $12 from that point. This stock just got there today. Now it's a pretty ugly stock, and it's been in a downtrend from $155. And this is VNO. It actually just got there today. It's been bouncing around here between some of my indicators, and this is not a good place for this to be. Just crossed into the bear zone on the weekly. It's been in the bear zone on the daily from right here. So that was last week on the 4th as well. This stock crossed into the bear zone at $76. So you got about a $5 drop there in the last several days. I'm going to switch over to the daily just a second, so I'm going to teach you about this line I was telling you about. It's a great chart to do it on. This is where it entered in the bear zone, just like I was telling you back on the 4th. It entered there right about here. Also crossed the 50 there, which had nothing to do with that, but that even adds more to the short watch. So you've had these multiple down days every day for 5 days. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's first day, second, third, fourth. This is the 5th day. So through the 5th day, you had this on a recap list every day, showing you that the bull zone was intact and that yellow line stayed on there all the way. Okay. Also, this new line I'm showing you now, showing up red on that recap columns, trend stability. See, it wasn't there the first day because it's based on, in the case of a falling stock, it's based on the highs. And every day this maintained that trend stability to the downside. Now I want to show you this for another reason. The reason I switched to the daily. If this is a stock you're already in, just entered the weekly on the bull zone, bear zone today. But this is an old low right here. This is why these lines are on these charts. This line is not on that weekly chart we were just looking at. It's on my daily chart. It's this previous low back here, 71.90 on October the 30th. So this could support this, but it is supporting. If it loses it, it probably gets worse. And on the weekly, you didn't have that line to refer to. It's actually going back and referring to this low right here, but it's not marked on this chart. It's on the daily chart. If you subscribe to our service, I show you how to get these on Thinkorswim charts, these green and pink lines. You don't have to have them on your normal trading chart. You can have them as a reference point when you're looking at your positions, but you may learn to like them. A lot of people think it's too many lines, and that's fine, but you still need to have them for a reference point. This particular pink line down here on this weekly chart, value of $69.78, it's letting you know here about this low way back here. That was in November of 2016. It's showing up on this chart here as it progresses. That's the last pivot low for this stock over a year ago. We're going to move on into the dailies, the weekly bulls now. It's our weekly bull list. You're probably going to have to watch this video in parts. We're already at 20 minutes. This is the bull. Done with the bears. I'm going to walk this a little bit faster and try not to talk as much. I'm trying to teach as I go here as well, and you got the long weekend here to get to watch this video, so it's a good day to do it long, and there's a lot of charts to cover. AAL, y'all all know the airline's been breaking out this week. Hit your bull zone on the weekly chart. I really like the looks of this. That's one thing I'm going to start commenting a little more. You know, the longer you got, the more base you got before you break out. And on the daily, this thing been basing for several weeks, a couple of weeks, as you can see by these little weekly candles. But you don't exactly recognize that looking at a weekly chart, and you might recognize it more looking at a daily. But the longer your base, when you get the breakouts, the stronger the momentum is likely to be. There's always charts that, as I go through these, that I like the looks of it better based on that base. So I'm going to probably mention that. That's what I'm trying to work toward during the week as we go through the dailies, is to comment as little as possible to make this as fast as possible, but to try to give you a comment when I see the 50 period or I see the 200 or I got a resistance level you're about to run into. You should be able to see that on your own. But if I really like the way it's breaking out of a base, I'm going to throw that out there. Now this is just starting the weekly breakout, but on the daily breakout we had 3 days ago, and that breakout was actually before the weekly breakout down here at 5370 area. By the second day of this breakout, now it showed up way before the big day, and it had this little old high right here. You see it had to get through. That's also on the daily chart. This thing exploded the last 2 days off of Delta earnings and other airlines earnings. But this stock, as that second day broke out, it came out of a multi-day base, going back about 10 or 12 days. Really strong breakout. And of course, I'm sure this whole sector looks like this. I'm going to walk these on down pretty fast going forward here. This is a stock that's been on the daily breakout since right here at 48.22, where you see my crosshairs. I might do that a lot. I'm going to try to move a little quicker through these now. You can pause at any point and take a look and go back and reference these green lines or pink lines or whatever you see on this chart. This was a bull break on the daily before it ever got to the weekly. It's about a $3 move so far. I like the looks of this on the daily. It broke a multi-week base there, you can see. This stock's been on here 7 or 8 days on the daily. This stock is just hitting the weekly. It's had a pretty strong week this week. Came up on the daily bull zone on Monday, and it crossed up through right here on the daily chart was a pink line, which was some lows it was referencing where it had based before and broke through. So it also, you can see this other pink line on the weekly. This had been fighting with for a month. This was resistance. It's where it supported earlier. Now it's resistance. So this week it opened on Monday, pretty much tested that low, very close to it, and it's had a monster week. And like I said, on Monday is when it broke out on the bull zone toward the end of the day, around this area right here, at 64.72. So you could have put yourself into that position at the end of that day, or actually it didn't show up on the bull zone because I require that it had the power level, and it did not have a power level. It didn't get the power level till the third day up. It was into the bull zone. The power level didn't show up till day 3. You can take note of one thing here on this chart back here when it did this last time it broke out on the weekly. Came into the bull week right here, had the power, and it ran for 2.5 weeks before it rejected. And I teach target 1, target 2. Well, this has spent time, and this would be the starting point. If this is your starting point, target 1, target 2. This has spent several weeks consolidating right in here. And when it came into this bull week, the next week it broke out. So basically it did the breakout at my target 1. So that's your starting point, target 1. Then you're going to move 2 increments. 1 increment, 2 increments. This stock stopped right at my upper pivot, and they pulled it all the way back to here over the next 3 weeks. Now these pivots, the only way I can give these to you is if you subscribe to TradingView. If you're a subscriber of ours for our services, I have a setup over at TradingView. You can get it for free. It don't cost you anything to use TradingView. You don't have to pay for real-time data. you can just have it for a reference point, and I give you access to the scripts that plot all the green and pink lines and my target levels, and you can actually use them on a 60-minute chart, daily chart, weekly chart. They work on all time frames. Even not having the real-time data, the 60-minute chart will be there. The numbers will, unless it's something that's doing a recalculate. It might be tomorrow before it shows up, but as far as dailies and weeklies, these lines are here for weeks and weeks and weeks, so they're always there. Doesn't cost you anything, and when you subscribe to our service, I provide you with that script, and then I can give you the highs and the lows, the pink and the green lines. I can help you do that on TC2000. I can help you do that on probably Thinkorswim. I got a script that can show you how to do that. Just on the weekly here, this is a $7 breakout. It's actually a little more than that on the daily. Domino's, nice move this week, had a gap up, a little pullback during the dailies on the CEO announcement, and then just had 2 strong days after that. Huge stock. I don't know why this stock's up. It sat still for 2 days. Obviously some good news of some kind. And let me use this as a point. When you see a stock that does this kind of move, and it did most of this in one day, it's going to come up on the bull zone, it's not a swing trade alert. There's a reason it did this, and it's a super high probability to do a major pullback. So when you see a big stock that does these crazy big moves like this, something caused it, some news driven event, and it's not a swing trade. I can't keep it from coming up on the scanners because it crossed all the levels. Be cautious here. These green lines represent old rejection levels on the chart. This chart came up on our bull zone alert on Tuesday on the daily right here, $45.38. Hit the weekly about the same time. It's up $10 from that breakout alert on the weekly here, and a little bit more than that off the daily. Nice big run on this stock. Just hit my weekly bull zone. The real trade on this was the daily. The daily bull zone broke out right here at 96.21. I'm going to switch over to a daily right here to show you something about what we've been teaching. This stock broke out on the bull zone on this day. The day I show you this on the breakout, its high was a double top. Did not break. The next day it put in a red bar. Still maintained bull zone status. Had the check mark. Still saying, hey guys, it's still in the bull zone, and it still had the yellow line. Next day it pulls back further. No more bull zone check. So day 2 on your little recap, no bull zone check. But this yellow band was still on your chart saying this is still intact for implied move higher. That's what the yellow band's for, and the green check mark. So as you see it come up on my scan this day, you see the line, you understand why it probably fell right there. Could have broke out the next day, but in this case it didn't. It rested for 2 days. But on that weekly recap, that yellow line stayed valid. That, hey, this still has a high probability to continue higher, is what that means. It may go away the next day. If it drops down more, it could. Well, the next day gapped up, took out this high, and by the end of that day it picked up more power. I'm showing you this at the beginning of the video. The more bars you got, the stronger the implied move. So as I go through these charts, you can notice that, and this was one in particular. There was a really good example of that. Came back into the bull zone this day, which was a new level, higher than it was when it broke the first time. The bull zone, the first break, was down around $50.49. When it showed up this next day, it was around $50.75 it took to break it. So when it opened that morning, it came right back in on the bull zone alert. It also, by the end of the day, had picked up more momentum than it had to begin with. My power levels got stronger. Also, the low of that day, the trend stability came in as, hey, this is a strong bar. It's maintained the trend stability for the next 2 days. Now today it wicked down, tested that lower level that I pay attention to as far as my trend stability line here. So it went below the low that was required to keep this up. This may come back up tomorrow, but it dropped back down. And then this thing, after doing that little test this morning, just exploded today for a really nice strong day. And that's how you can use these. We're going to teach more about that on our weekend chart talk. Just so much to cover here. It's getting to be a lengthy video. We didn't got to the dailies yet, so still need to pick your pace up. Being that it's a long weekend, I know you got lots of time to come back and forth and watch parts of this, and hopefully you can take this as a teaching as well, a little bit along as we go. This is an example, this is a weekly chart still, of how a stock can break out, which it did here, way back here. Really nice run, and then got tired, pulled back, but where did it hold? Right on the weekly support. This week headed back up. This particular stock broke out on our daily bull zone back on the second day of January at $17.23. This is way down on the weekly. If you look at the bigger picture, the stock's come down from 80 bucks. Just now hitting the weekly breakout this week at $21. This stock's been on the bull zone since 91 on the daily. This stock has ran from one end of the spectrum. You see how it ran two target levels, pulled back again, ran, and just right here at this level now, you see how far down it dipped one day during that week, and then came right back up. I don't know if it was the opening day or middle of the week, and it's just continued on up. Now it's run the full gamut here on the weekly. It's coming back into old highs on the daily today. I'm not saying that to caution you. This stock could just keep on going. It's actually just now come into the weekly bull zone, but it's not coming out of a base, so I'm just cautioning that. This stock actually broke into the daily bull zone back in November. On that week, you see way down there at the bottom, first day on a bull zone break was November the 22nd at $43.35. This stock had a mega explosion on the daily bull zone break. 99.11 was that breakout price on the 8th. So every day this week it's just continued on up, and it hit the weekly bull zone about Tuesday. Hit the daily on Monday at 99.11. Stock's up about $8 in 5 days. I think this was in the news today. Just a note where you're at here, you see this level back here. This is an old high where it rejected in the past. It's not quite there yet, but it's approaching that level. I'm gonna give you that value. If you're in this stock, it's been higher too, but that value is gonna be $60.30. All right, that concludes our weeklies. We're gonna walk through those dailies. While you're here, be sure to subscribe to our channel and follow us on Twitter or StockTwits at Daytrader Setups. And our website is daytradersetups.com and swingtradersetups.com. Don't forget, this video is being brought to you by our premium alerts at swingtradersetups.com. They're real-time alerts. They're posted on our website, and we're looking at our bull zone weekly and daily breakouts, and our bear zone weekly and daily breakouts that are in one category on the website. And there are other categories that are more aggressive for the more active trader as well. And by having a subscription to that service, you get all these alerts intraday as they happen, and one subscription gets you access to everything, as well as our chart system. If you would like to get it, I can set you up a couple of different ways to have the green and pink lines available for your charts as you review. Let's go forward. Working on the weekly bears, this would not be a swing trade. It's amazing what the word fraud can do to a stock price. News story sometime today or pre-market about fraud. I'm assuming probably accounting practices or whatever. The duck will be working overtime to repair this damage. This is kind of the first little, see yesterday on this big gap down, had it closed down it would have went into the bear zone, but today it did close down. It's a solar stock. I don't know anything about it. I know there's plenty more of them running. So because of the sector, I don't know if I'd take this as a swing trade or not to the downside, but it's got the first signs of it. Follow through and see what it does. It's got plenty of room to come down, $5 or $6. Now this stock is another example of a stock getting to price levels to come in on the bear zone. But to take note that it touched the 200 day, that's this orange line, and that's where it held today, which is a good thing. 31.85 was the low, 31.80 is the 200 day. So this is when you see something like this intraday or even now, pause to understand the strength of a 200 day before you rush into a trade. This stock gapped down this morning, spiked up into the 50 day, again the strength of the 50 or the 200, rejected and closed back down here. Now please note this green dotted line, that's an old high, that's support line, that's where it opened this morning, tested and held it. So again, you got something that's teetering between two strong areas to figure out what it wants to do. You got this next level down here to come through, and that number I'll give to you, 106.70, and that's actually a big weekly spike going back on the weekly chart in October of 2016, a year and a half ago. That was resistance established at that point in time. It's came back up there multiple times on the weekly and failed it. And I'm going to switch this to the weekly to show you this would be a reason not to rush into a short. That's what I want to teach right here. This level we were just looking at was established further back than we're looking, because right here it went up and tested that level that was already there. It's way back here, barely see it on the back of the chart. That's where that high was created at, as resistance. When it got here, it pinned it. Pin means it crossed through it and pulled back. So that resistance was intact, sold off for 3 weeks. Here was an old high, had been established in the same manner this was back in the history, came back to the high, base for 2 weeks, held there, old resistance, new support. It held it, went back up for 4 weeks, right back to resistance again, spent 3 weeks there, gave way again, and now it's done all this dancing here for weeks and weeks and weeks. Finally pushed through, made some higher highs. So now this gap down today, the low of this candle again was this weekly candle, which was today, was 107. I believe that's actually a little bit off because the daily shows 107. This weekly level right here, which is the same as this high, 106.70. So it's trying to hold this level. So you don't want to get involved in the short with something that can be this strong. And what makes it strong, it can give way now. What makes it strong is the fact that once it was established as resistance, it was respected. It was respected. It was fought and fought and fought for to get through it for weeks and weeks and weeks. So all these levels, this was strong resistance, strong resistance, strong resistance. So that should interpret into possible strong support. So that's why you don't want to rush into a trade that's sitting right on something like this. And when you're looking at dailies, trying to make your decision on what stock's going to best fit what you're doing, you got to look at bigger time frames too to make your decisions. You obviously can't trade every stock that pops up. And also in a bull market like we're in, that even adds more to choose from. You've got to take your trading style, your criteria, your risk tolerance, how close is earnings dates, what it looks like on a weekly, and you got to incorporate all that in. Now, if you're a short-term trader and you're looking for 2 or 3 day swing trades, these daily bull zone breaks can give you some insight, especially when you got one that looks strong and it's sitting there basing sideways for 2 days, and you can pick up a really cheap option or something. A lot of guys do that. They'll find them a real cheap option, and then they get that big break. I like to buy options, and I'm not an expert option trader. I like to buy slightly out of the money, just as close to in the money as I can get, but get that discount for being out of the money. And then when I get that break, I'm in the money pretty quick, and then you get a 2-day move and you got a really nice trade. AAP, first on the bull break today. Now this thing came in, as you can see, several days ago. Continued up, went sideways for 4 or 5 days on the 200-day. And then yesterday, this thing broke down and gave a monster intraday move. And then today it went even more. This was about a $2 or $3 bounce off the lows yesterday. It went down to a low of 108.90 and ended up closing at $113, a $4 bounce. Of course, everybody loves Apple at those highs. This thing gaps around and chops around, and I never day trade this stock. Terrible, terrible day trader, highly manipulated, and it's got such volume. But it technically came into the bull zone today from this long base we've been in. And if it breaks out, it may make its next leg up. I'll pick up the pace again because we got 32 stocks over here came up today. Some of them are revisits from earlier in the week. Amgen, we had a really nice day trade on this yesterday, even on a red day. And then today, very nice day again today. This came into the bull zone right back here. And you can see that right here on the chart. The day it first came in on bull zone, sideways, sideways, sideways. Even lost my power part on this bad day here. Came right back in with the power the next day. Never lost the bull zone though. It stayed. It was so far up, it just held that level. It kept the green check marks. What I'm trying to tell you on the multiple days, and then broke again. Nice run up into resistance. Then gave all this range on this day, and the market might have had a big pullback day. And then yesterday, this don't look like that much, but that low was 181 and the high was 182.86. Gave a nice day trade here off that bottom, and then today it had another huge day up. CRM's a popular stock. It actually hit the daily bull zone intraday right here, and then the next day opened up right there. A little gap up right into the bull zone on that morning, and that was 7 days ago. Got about a $4 move up. Not a stock I day trade. Again, one of those that I just don't find the interaction. I really watch about 100 stocks for day trading, and really end up focusing in on about 40. This list will give me some variables I'll bring in there occasionally, but most of the time I just stick to my list of stocks that give lots of interaction daily, like that Amgen stock. Today gave a great move. Yesterday rested all day, and the day before that gave a great move. Kind of breaking out of this is a choppy little stock, but it's kind of breaking out of a nice base. Showed up on the bull zone today. Had a strong day yesterday off the 200 day and the 50 day. This stock looks like it could show some promise here for a move up, maybe all the way back up to that target 1 level up there around 2180. That'd be target 2, I'm sorry. The red line up here. Nice break out of a consolidation here. This is kind of what stocks do as well. The move up, target 1, target 2, chopped around a while, broke on out, finally got to the pivot, revisited these old highs. And when the stock's in an uptrend, it's going to give some pullbacks. Uptrending, pull back, this is where you want to see them hold when they do that, is back to my target 1. And they do that many times. They'll go target 1, target 2, back target 2, target 1, target 2, back. They just move along. That's what they do. And that's classically what's happened right here. It's back in the bull zone today. And as I was telling you earlier, if you're a subscriber, you've got these on TradingView. You can refer to this stuff. If you're watching a stock pull back and say, hey, it might hold right here, and then you see that it did, you might make your own decision to make yourself an early entry. Nice bull break today on this Phillips out of this consolidation period, and that whole sector is just on fire. Another example of a stock came up on the first bull zone 4 days ago, maintained the yellow line even though it rested a couple of days, and then broke a little further today. Now this bull zone break today obviously was different than the level down here. As these progress, the bull zone recalculates, so I don't just say if it pulled back, came back to this one spot right here that it triggered at 4 days ago, oh, you got a bull zone break again. It's a different entire value, but it maintained its strength after it showed up 4 days ago. On our recaps, kept the yellow bar showing you that this was still intact for potential higher, and then it showed that the last 2 days. That's why I'm giving you that tool on those recap charts, and you're fixing to be looking at that in just a moment. remember now, I've added this trend stability here. The upper line, the higher high here, this is our bullseye break, not this one. I'll bring this a little thicker in on the next video. Nice support held here. This is one that gave you the bullseye break 2 days ago on this big candle here, and then revisited, showing you the green line support and resistance. See how it pulled back and held there yesterday? Resistance, broke through it, hopefully become support. Last time it didn't hold, it broke down again, and now it's headed on back up. On your Viacom, again, this stock was some chatter late this afternoon. CBS, I think, interested. No talks are in the works at the time, but Miss Redstone said she's interested in talking, so that's what all that's about. Another monster move on this YY today. This is a stock I try to day trade sometime, but rarely get a chance to, because a lot of times early it'll be thin volume, but it's always very spready. You have to catch it on a little pullback intraday. It's about the only way to get in this stock, and I buy a lot of pullbacks when I've got my uptrend intact, and I'll be watching for a pullback. And sometimes they don't quite pull back to where I want them to come back to for me to get involved. So I miss the, it'll go on up and I'll miss the opportunity. But this stock, that's about the only way you can do it, because the spreads a lot of times are volatile. When you want to get in it, you really just can't take the risk, because it'll jerk around so bad day trading and it'll just eat you up. That's all the stocks on our breakouts. We got the little weekly review. We show the charts for you right here at the end, and it'll wind us down. This is the bear breaks for the week. Today, yesterday, day before, day before, day before, and then all the weeklies I leave on here for you. This is to give you a chance to reference the list and see where it stands. Monitor your trade if you're already in one. Check mark says we're still in the bear zone. This stock held support today. It broke in the bear zone yesterday. It's been really selling, but today I put this in at 57.80, I think, on the daily as support. Let me double check that. Yeah, it had an old low on the daily as it came down this morning. I've been watching it sell all week, and it had some old lows at 57.33 and 57.60, and I actually put it in the room before he got there, right before he got there. 57.60 and 33 could be bounce points. It went to 57.70 and then progressed on up today and actually sold off about $1, I believe, into the close. Yeah, it went all the way to $60.48 and then backed up $1.50 into the close. So it actually had bounced from the lows to 60.48, almost $3. I did not trade it, but I did put it in the room at 57.60 and 57.33 possible support areas, and that I'd be more interested around 59. And when it got to 59, I talked myself out of trading it. It went another $1.50. I was wanting that little pullback. I was going about a 50-cent pullback before I was going to get in it, and it didn't let me. And I'm saying that because it's still in the bear zone, but it did hold a support area today. And that's what, when I show you the lines on the charts yesterday when it came in, I showed you that line on the daily chart as it came into the bear zone, that pink line, and it got almost there today and held. And that's why I show you the lines. But these are your levels. All these are still in the zone down here. This is where I showed you CLVS coming down, and you can see the pink line. This is the actual daily chart you look at. This was yesterday, and then right at the end of the day it crossed the bear zone, and then it went on down today. But it did get near that support line, and it did give a big bounce, and that's why I try to give you that information up front. You got to be aware of those things. I can't keep them from showing up on the alerts because of the price action, but I can provide you with a reason to be cautious if you get in a trade, or to be aware of the ensuing double bottom. So that's what all these charts are about, and that's why I take the time to show them to you. I don't know what this stock does on Monday. It's on top of my list for a bounce, for a day trade, not a swing trade. And it may just sell off again. It's pretty strong to the downside. But here's your list. I'm going to bring this down where you can get a whole look at this from 2 days ago. The few stocks on the bottom there. You can see the ones that are still in the bear zone. Based on current levels, it's recalculated lower. And this is where it stands. P&L at day 2 off the lowest low. This was your trigger price 2 days ago. This is the profit so far against that price. And then if you take the lowest low, that's the most profit it's had. It's bounced a little bit. Like this stock here was 417 at its peak, and now it's only 320. This particular stock in this bear zone, it's still in the bear zone, but it lost a power level today. It may come back on Monday. It may not go down anymore. So that's why I show you that yellow line, and the lack of it brings caution. Then in the case like Hain, the missing check mark, it's not still at the current bear zone levels, but it's still intact with the stability here. So it could go on down. It's rejecting this 50-day here. It's just been fighting it for days. And the 200's right below. It's a lot of things holding this thing in here right now so far. But that's all your stocks on the bears. Got to bring this up where you can see the full list down here. You can see the full list here. This is the few that came through all week. We're going to get you over to the bulls and shut this video down. Your bull list. Yesterday's breakouts. Give you the whole list of there. Yesterday was a huge list. Gonna have to put it in 2 parts for you to see it all. The day before yesterday, you can pause this so you can look at all these symbols. And I'm gonna slide this down, let you see what's down below here. Actually, I'm gonna have to give it in 3 parts. There were so many. You got another chance to pause to get a look at the ones that came in down here, and then we're going to add a few more to the bottom as I slide it down even more. So yesterday, huge day of breakouts, and then followed up today with some more move up, many of them. So this one at the high, 434, ended up 281 over yesterday's breakout price. It was up 216 today, but at the peak this was up $4.34 off this break number right here. Still in the bull zone, still everything intact. That's what your green, yellow, if you can keep all this intact, you really just gotta keep watching your stock and watch for resistance levels you may be trading into. Let's get you a look at the bottom ones here, and I need to stretch this up so you can get the whole week, which you just had a minute ago. This is your weekly over here. I'll slide it down where you can pick up the rest of them. Get this up where you can get a look, good look at these other 2 days. We're going back 3 and 4 and 5 days ago now. You can pause and look, and I'm going to pull these down where you can get a look at the bottom stocks. Barely all fit. So that gives you a look the entire week. These are stocks Friday, Thursday, Wednesday, Tuesday, Monday. These were stocks that came into play on Monday, like STX. 43.66 was the trigger level. It's up $7.60 over that trigger level. The trigger level was way back down here, I'm sure, when it gapped up, so you don't get to trade all that when the gap up was in, but it did give a nice move of about $5 since then. So on the gappers, the math is still done from the breakout level, which could be down below. A lot of times there's no gap at all, like on this stock. 99.07 was the breakout level 5 days ago. Friday, Thursday, Wednesday, right down here, and now it's moved a total of $8.17 over that level. $8.50 at the peaks. Still in the bull zone, still got power and maintaining an awesome trend stability, and that's these lines here. We're keeping the yellow intact, we're keeping our trend stability, which means that the lows are not dipping down. This stock is not showing any sign yet of slowing down. Thanks for watching our videos. It's a long one, a lot of material to cover. You got the weekend, break it up. Just write down how far you watch it time-wise and come back to it and pick up where you left off. We are going to put out the weekend video over the weekend, probably Sunday. And you got Monday off. And we're going to talk more about using these yellow and green lines and these check marks and maintaining your focus on a trade that you get into, or a stock that maybe you're watching a couple of days later and it's had 2 red days. Maybe it came up on a bull zone break and had 2 inside red days. We've looked at several like that tonight that then broke out for 2 more big green days. And maybe you're wanting to keep track of that stock. This is how you do it at the end of the video. When we give it to you, you can say, hey, I'm still watching this. You know, it was down today, but it's still holding that yellow bar. And, you know, even though it doesn't have the bull zone anymore, I'm still interested. It could even have the bull zone and have 2 inside days. You know, this is to keep you watching. Say, you know, if it breaks out tomorrow, I think it's going to go higher, but I want to wait and see. This gives you the ability to do that. Thanks for watching. Follow us on Twitter and Stock Twits. Subscribe to our channel. Good trading.